welcome for another episode of Transcending Tales. I'm your host, D.E. Riley, and this lovely lady sitting next to me is the beautiful and talented Audra Moon. Alexis Reeves won't be with us tonight. She's taking a little bit of time off. And tonight we're going to do something a little bit different, a little bit fun, a little bit out of the ordinary for us. And we're going to talk about the dark side of none other than nursery rhymes. And it's funny because, you hear these growing up. You've probably said a lot of them or sang a lot of them to your own kid. But a lot of people don't know where these stories actually started from. And a lot of them have really creepy origins, you know? Audrey, you did a little bit of digging of this. Did you find something that a juicy nursery rhyme?
Okay, so there's a couple, but my favorite is, oh my God, probably the Muffin Man.
The Muffin Man?
That Muffin Man. The Muffin Man! Yeah. The Muffin Man. The Muffin Man is, I wish I could find out more about it than what I could. Everything that I found out about it was all basically just the same, like no crazy details, but the Muffin Man is, when you think about it and you sing the song, and then when I explain it, it makes sense. So, do you know the Muffin Man? The Muffin Man who lives on Drury Lane, right? So England, one of England's first known serial killers was, what was his name? It was Linwood, and now I can't remember his name. Go figure. Look at that. I can't remember his name, and I saved it. Frederick Thomas Linwood. Now, Frederick Thomas Linwood was the owner of a bakery, and this nursery rhyme kind of came out as like a almost like a warning to children. Like they used it as a warning. So he was a baker, and over in England, what they would do is they would get deliveries of bread, and these certain kinds of breakfast pastries, they called them muffins, but they were not the muffins that we know today, if that makes sense. They were different. He would do deliveries and deliver these muffins, these breakfast muffins. Now, what happens on weekdays early in the morning? All the kids are going to the schoolhouses, right? So on his way back from deliveries, he would see these children going to school. And what he would do is he would lure them over with, free goodies, free muffins. And actually, his bakery was on a street, a road called Drury Lane. So that's where that came from. And he would lure these children into, to him, to his bakery, to his, little cart and buggy, whatever it was. And he would prey on children. But it was so much worse than just he was a child murderer. He would torture these children completely, like keep them alive as long as he could and torture them. He would sexually assault them until finally he would kill them. Now, I couldn't really find anything, and maybe I just didn't dig deep enough, but I'm going to assume with a story like that and a nursery rhyme being brought out on that, this guy would have had he would have had to have been at least suspected of murder. You see
Right.
what I'm saying? So, but that was and I did look because I'm sick and I wanted to know in what ways would he torture these children, and why was he, I mean, because there were plenty of people, there have been plenty of serial killers who have committed heinous things against, men, women, and
Hmm.
children. And, what makes him different? What makes him so heinous that he had to have a nursery rhyme made after him?
And
You
a
know?
lot of times in a case like that, in my personal opinion, now I'm no expert on this. God knows I'm not an expert at nursery rhymes. Although with 5 kids, you think I would have something going on there, but uh, I think it was just it's such a catchy little limerick and a fun little song that the kids could remember. It was dumbed down to their level. Um,
Yeah.
so that would hang with them as a warning. That these kind of people are out there. So you have to be aware and be careful of them. So that's
Hmm.
that's kind of my take. That's the only thing that I can figure out because it's just all of them. I mean, every nursery rhyme you look at has some kind of weird, something going on with it.
Oh, I know. And Linwood was considered the Drury Lane Dicer, is what
Oh
they
dear.
called him. Uh, yeah. But some things I read where it was um, the the nursery rhyme was made up to kind of be a
Hmm.
warning to other children. And then some other things that I read were it was the authorities came up with the nursery rhyme to help children identify him. But there is also there's no documentation that these murders actually happened by anyone, like, from and with if I could speak today, if I could just speak, it would be fantastic. Um, there was no documentation of these murders by, like, being committed by anyone by
Hmm.
that name. Um, but you're also going back into, I believe it was the late 1700s, early 1800s, where this started coming about. I could be wrong
So
on that,
actually, in terms of
but
nursery rhymes, that's a fairly recent rhyme because a
yeah,
lot of these go back to
yeah,
like medieval times.
absolutely. I'm actually going to look up when this was, because I don't do dates. I don't look at them. That's my thing, apparently. Six, 16th century. So yeah,
Yeah,
1700s.
that's yeah,
So yeah, it's still
yeah,
fairly recent, even in the
right, right. Because
1700s.
some of these go way back, way back.
Yep.
Some of them I was
Oh
I
yeah.
was digging into go back to the 1500s or even the 1200s in some of them. So, um,
Yep.
but yeah, that's the only thing I can think of is it was a simple to remember warning for kids to beware of people like this. But like you said, there's no historical evidence that anything like that ever happened. So it's like, okay, well, you know,
But again, back in 16th century, there were no cameras. There were no, you know, police weren't
right,
the way
right.
that they are today. Investigations and forensics and all of that stuff weren't the way they were. Forensics. If you look at the time between say John Wayne Gacy and now. Forensics
No,
wasn't what it
it's
was
no,
then.
it's not
So
even what it was. 20 years ago. I mean, they, figure 20 years ago they didn't even have DNA testing 20 years ago. So it's,
no, no. You know, the thing is with this one, I thought it's eerie. There are other ones that are eerie, but this is eerie because it seems so innocent. You know what I mean? And they all do. They all do. But this one, it's like, oh, the Muffin Man, Muffin Man. It's even put. I mean, we quoted it in the
right.
beginning. It's put in
Yeah,
children's films.
it's in Shrek.
You know exactly. So it's innocent enough, but an innocent a nursery rhyme for children is about children being tortured and assaulted and murdered
Wow,
in a horrific way by a baker who lives on Drury Lane.
wow. that's that's weird. And
Really?
the funny thing is, the more and it's hard. It's easy to find. It's not hard to find the origins of this stuff, but um, some of them are just violent to begin with. I mean, they just exude violence. This one I came across, and it's not one you hear too often anymore. It's called the Goosey Goosey Gander. Have you ever heard that one? It goes,
I
Goosey
think I
Goosey
have.
Gander, whither shall I wander? Upstairs and downstairs, and in my lady's chamber. There I met an old man who wouldn't say his prayers, so I took him by his left leg and threw him down the stairs. Sleep tight, kiddies.
Okay.
And that, from what I could tell, um, in trying to find the origin on this thing, even though it starts out like a really feel good nursery rhyme, it ends on a really kind of a dark note. You're talking about killing somebody, toss them down the stairs. Um,
Hmm.
so the basis of this whole nursery rhyme, believe it or not, is religious persecution. That's where this came
Hmm.
from, and it says for some years the song's first appearance in historical records, it was appended uh, with some disturbing lines. So they took some, they moved some out, and English folklorists noticed that it was probably the real origin of it was probably um, in children's schools. They came up with it as addressing a crane fly, or a daddy long legs is what we call it in the United States. And one of their little games was pulling the legs off of these spiders. And so the line would repeat, "Oh, Father Longlegs, can't say his prayers. Take him by the left leg and throw him down the stairs." So it was like he loves me, he loves me not, that the girls do with the little daisies, pulling the stems off. Basically the same
Yeah.
thing, only tearing a spider apart, which in and of itself, I mean, it's kind of gross too. So it
Yeah.
it although one popular story is it was religious persecution, you know, chances are it could have been this other one also, and just making up a kid's rhyme on how to tear a spider apart. So,
Yeah.
but there's that.
Poor spider.
Yeah, yeah, ain't that cool? Ain't that cool? So, um, what's another juicy one we can get into?
Mary, Mary, quite
Oh,
contrary.
oh, oh, yes, that's a nice one. Do you have the words for that? I got the first line to it.
It's Mary, Mary, quite contrary. How does your garden grow? With silver bells and cockle shells and pretty maids laid out in a
Okay,
row. Mischief Mary, quite contrary, how does your garden grow? With silver bells and cockle shells, and so my garden grows.
Well, that's innocent enough. What could go wrong with that? It's talking about
Yeah.
a nice little lady taking care of her garden, right? Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, but this one, um, I'm getting a friend. Um, so with this one, there are a couple of different versions. The one that, I mean, and when I'm saying that, you've got Mary Queen of Scots. You got her version. You've got literally in a religious origin, Mother Mary from, Jesus's mother. Um, but my favorite is Mary the First, or what did everybody know her as?
Bloody
Bloody
Mary.
Mary. Yep. Um, and Bloody Mary was, let me just look at my notes here. So, Bloody Mary, Mary the First, who was the elder daughter of King Henry the Eighth, um, he was not he's not very nice to anybody. Anybody. Um, so because of, now here we go with this. Mary was a devout Catholic, and upon ascending to the throne following the death of her brother Edward VI, restored the Catholic faith to England. And this, according to theory, earned her the description of Mary quite contrary.
Mm-hmm.
But she was also renowned for torturing Protestants, and Silver Bells was a nickname for thumbscrews.
Really? I did not know that.
Yes. Cockle shells were believed to be instruments of torture that were attached to the genitals.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
this is what your kids are learning in school, folks. Okay, you worry about reading and writing and arithmetic. You better dig a little deeper into what they're being taught.
Absolutely. Now, the pretty maids laid out in a row were said to represent people lined up to be executed by the Halifax gibbet, the same as a guillotine, which was nicknamed a maiden.
Wow, that's
Mm-hmm.
that's a good one. that is crazy. That
Yeah. It's the next line is, how does your garden grow? Could be a taunt about Mary the First's failure to produce an heir, or it could be a reference to the cemetery that the fact that more deaths, the fact that the more deaths there were, the more cemetery flowers would grow.
Jeez.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, that's amazing. That was. I'm trying to find here the year 1553 to 1558. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
Are you frozen, Audra?
Am I
We
frozen?
just lost Audra.
Am I moving?
Sorry.
No,
Hopefully we'll
we
get her
didn't.
back here shortly. She just locked up. So yeah, the Mary
No.
quite contrary. That was the 1553 to 1558.
Trying to reconnect. I'm here.
Of hundreds of Protestants. Golly, that is crazy.
Am I back?
Hey,
I'm
there
back.
you are.
You're going over here.
Yeah, you locked up there for a second. So that you did it again.
And I just lost all my notes because my phone just drained from like 20% battery to nothing out of nowhere in that time frame. It's okay. We're gonna go off of memory.
Okay,
I got it.
All right. I've got one here, and you're talking about the religious persecution of Bloody Mary in the 1500s, and Mary, Mary, quite contrary. There's another one that goes right hand in hand with that, as a matter of fact, and it is Three Blind Mice.
Ooh,
That cute one that we all know.
okay.
Three blind mice, three blind mice. See how they run, see how they run. They all ran after the farmer's wife, who cut off their tails with a carving knife. Did you ever see such a sight
Yeah.
in your life as three blind mice? Well, Three Blind Mice is supposedly yet another ode to Bloody Mary's reign, so it ties right in with her. Now, the
Ooh,
three blind
okay.
mice, the trio in question, are Protestant bishops. That's Hugh Latimer, Nicholas Radley, and the Archbishop of Canterbury, Thomas Cranmer, who unsuccessfully conspired to overthrow the Queen, and they were burned at the stake for their heresy.
Ooh,
Critics suggest that the blindness in the title refers to their religious beliefs. So, yeah,
yeah.
that's another religious persecution, um, and a little upheaval gone bad, and your kids are singing these songs to you daily. And they're, like you said, they're in
Shame.
all the Disney movies, kids movies, things like that. You've seen them
They are.
1,000 times in cartoons, kids cartoons. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. And I mean, even really, if you look at it, okay, your fairy tales, your Snow White, your Cinderella, um, that were adapted into children friendly films and stories, they were
yeah,
dark, like very dark.
yeah. I mean, you look at the real stories, and not the Disney versions, but go find the real ones by the Brothers Grimm, and you know um,
Yeah.
the old authors, and you'll find some of those are very literally terrifying. They're horrible
Yeah.
tales. Um,
Oh yeah.
all right, so you're gonna go by memory. Can you pull up another one there, or do I need to just go
Huh.
on with some of them that I've got here?
I know that we both probably have Ring Around the
All right.
Rosie. So I'll let you touch on
Okay.
Ring Around the
Um,
Rosie. Um, yeah.
yeah, ring around the rosy, which everybody knows. Ring around the rosy, pocket full of posy. Ashes, ashes, we all fall down. Um, now, that one actually has a little bit of controversy to it. Let me find my notes here. Here we go. Um, now, according to the popular belief, um, and in fact, the first story that I heard, this was actually written about the Great Plague in Europe in 1665 that wiped out like 15% of the population in Europe. Ring Around the Rosie was the development of the rash, a red round rash. It would start under your arms, that signified the oncoming uh, plague that you have contracted. That was the first sign. Um,
Do you know which plague it was? Was it the
yes,
bubonic plague or
yeah,
the?
yeah.
Okay.
That's exactly what it was. And Pocket Full of Posy was the stench at that time was so terrible. If you've ever seen a plague doctor's mask, they've got those real long like beaks on the front. Well, the reason that they had those
Yep.
was they would stuff them with real fragrant flowers or herbs, or like sage, something that gave off a very, very strong aroma and fragrance to help these guys put up with the stench that they had to deal with from the bodies that were eaten up by this disease. Um, and ashes, ashes were the funeral pyre. I mean, they just piled these bodies up and burned them. That was the only way that they could get rid of this disease, because just burying the bodies
And
wasn't
they were
good
so,
enough because animals would dig them up and eat them, and then it would just continue on and on and on. So and
but there was also such a mass amount of the dead that there was no way they could
no,
bury them
no,
all, you know. So it was just, I mean, if you think of, um, like the Holocaust in
right,
Germany, Poland, with in the concentration camps and the death camps, the mass amount of people that they killed, which I don't even think was, which I could be wrong. I don't know the numbers, but I don't believe it was as much as the plague killed. Could be wrong. Um, but they had to do the same thing because how are you going to bury all
right,
those bodies?
right.
But again, they also didn't want to, when they knew that they were going to be invaded, they also dug up mass graves and burned those so they wouldn't be found out. But yeah, that's a story for another time, and that's history. And yeah, but it was
Yeah.
comparison.
Now here comes the argument. Which one are we going to believe now? Because the other reason, and this is according to Snopes, which will find the truth in everything. They find out if you're lying or not. That's their job. Um, they say that that particular rendition of Ring Around the Rosie is false. That's not what happened at all. Where it
Hmm.
actually comes from, and they quote folklorist Philip Hisstock, um, said that more likely it's a nursery rhyme, probably has to do, has its origins in the religious ban on dancing among many Protestants in the 19th century, in Britain as well as here in North America. Adolescents found a way around the dancing ban with what they called in the United States as a play party. Play parties consisted of ring games, which differed from square dancing, only in the name though. And but they also had a lack of musical accompaniment, so they just kind of had to make this whole dancing thing up, I guess, as they went along in silence. I don't know. I don't know what they did, but it was hugely popular among the younger children, and that's where the Ring Around the Rosie came from. Personally, I like the first one
I don't like.
better.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
like
like
that one.
I like the darker. It makes more sense. It just makes more sense
Yeah.
than just trying to find a way around dancing, which was prohibited. That doesn't to me sound like it makes any sense at all, really. But according to Snopes,
No,
that's what they said. So it's you be
yeah,
the judge.
I don't
You
like.
be the judge. Do your own
I don't.
research. Find out.
I don't like that one.
uh, but yeah, that's what I got on that. That there was a difference, and that was actually late 1800s when that one supposedly came
Oh
around.
wow.
So you know that was like a 200-year span between when they said it was originally based during the Great Plague
Yeah.
and when Snopes said that it was actually put together. So yeah, there's a little
Huh.
bit of an argument there. We have what's another one that we've got here that's kind of juicy? Oh yeah, I know. I know. Let's see. Now I've got a couple of them that I threw in here just because they're so damn funny. Um, and
Okay.
it's not funny, haha. It's just funny, like seriously. I've had it to hear with political correctness, and that's what these things have dealt with. Uh,
Yeah.
but how about here we go around the mulberry bush? Do you know where that came from?
Yep. I know that one. I
All
know
right,
that one.
you wanna hit it? Do you know that one from memory? I'll fill in the blanks. How's that sound if your phone's not working?
Here we okay, here we go round the mulberry bush. The monkey chased the weasel. The monkey thought it was all in fun. Pop goes the weasel. Is that how it goes?
Uh, Here it goes.
Um,
Let's see. That no, you got. I think you ran two of them together there. Actually.
might have. I
Okay.
might
Here we
have.
go around the mulberry bush. The mulberry bush. The mulberry bush. Here we go around the
Oh.
mulberry bush so early in the morning. Okay, that
Mm-hmm.
one is actually very, very long. And I just read the first verse on it. But,
Yeah.
all right. So, do you know where that popped up at?
One. It's the same one. So it's so the reason why the two ran together, okay? The mulberry bush and then the
Pop goes the
weasel
weasel.
one. Yeah, Pop Goes the Weasel. They both have the same underlying uh, political injustice,
Okay.
I guess. So, you're waiting on me
Okay.
to
You
take
can
it?
take it.
I'll take it.
I've got it. Let's see if yours matches mine. Now this is the game because
Okay.
we've got a couple of them conflicting.
Okay, so let me see. All right. So the mulberry bush. First off, I'm gonna it's all racism. I'm gonna say that. As far as the mulberry bush, and it was, I believe, it was a song that was sung by children in the fields. Am I wrong? I'm pretty sure I'm right. No,
No.
what do you got? You're looking at me like what I'm talking about.
That's
Go ahead.
the pop goes the weasel. Now that may be what you're talking there. Um,
Yeah, maybe.
the mulberry bush. Here we go around the mulberry bush. Sung according to R.S. Duncan, um, a former governor of England's Wakefield prison, suggested that the song originated with the 420-year-old institution, the prison. Wakefield was not a nice place. It was a female's prison, a women's prison, and it was a tough place to be. But the mulberry bush grew in the courtyard of the prison, and every morning the ladies were marched out and they exercised around the mulberry tree in the courtyard. And so that's what the song pertained to, was the marching out of female prisoners to exercise around the mulberry tree in the courtyard of the prison every morning. So that's where that actually originated from. But yeah.
Okay, well, to be fair, all right, I didn't pick the mulberry bush. So I didn't do research on it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's from, and like I said, from what I understand, it was like one of the toughest prisons in England at that time. They were just really, really tough over there. So,
Okay. Huh.
so now
That's
if
interesting.
you have what was the other one we just talked about at the same time that you ran the two together? Pop goes the
Pop Goes the
weasel. I don't have
Weasel.
anything on that one, so that would be
Okay, so um Pop Goes the Weasel. It was, I forget how it starts. Something something the monkey
right.
chased the weasel. Originally, and this is just one of those, there's not like a whole lot of like, there's not like a huge story behind it. It's just very racist. Um that was switched up. It was originally um not, the word was not monkey. We're not going to say the word on here, but the word was not monkey. And that, okay, so I had two of them that were racially
Right.
charged, I'll say. And now I don't know. Was this one? This I don't know if this one was the one with nope, it wasn't. Damn it. Okay. See, this is what happens when I lose my notes.
Start.
You know what? I'll go to a completely different one.
That's fine.
Okay, we'll do that. So, and again, I don't have my notes in front of me. So when I tell you who these people are, I don't know. Like if I say it's a king,
Oh, you
it's a
froze
king.
up again,
In my
Audra.
notes, no. No.
It's usually me that has the technical difficulties. So, you're back.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, good. So, um, I can tell you that certain, like, if there's a king involved, I can tell you it's a king. I can't tell you which king it was because my notes are now gone. Sorry. Um, but you people can look it up. You can go
That's
do
right.
your research. So, Humpty Dumpty. Humpty Dumpty.
Now, I've heard
Um,
a couple of different things on Humpty Dumpty. So,
so did
okay.
I. But the one that I chose was Humpty Dumpty was actually a king. I don't remember which one. Um, but he was actually a king. And Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall, and the wall signified they were going into battle, essentially. The wall was his troops. This was the one that I found. And so he sat upon a wall, which he was leading his you know leading his
Mm-hmm.
people into battle, and um, he had a great fall. He was knocked off his horse, and I've heard two different stories. The other, I've heard that the other, his foes were once he fell off his horse, he was knocked off his horse. He was bludgeoned to death, but that isn't super like it doesn't go with the nursery rhyme because it's
All
Humpty
right.
Dumpty. On a wall, Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. Now, the other ending of that is all the king's horses and all the king's men, which were his people, his subjects, his whatever, um, came to put him together again because he wasn't bludgeoned to death; he was torn apart,
Oh.
limb from limb. He was his limbs were ripped from him, or cut from him, or whatever, from the opposing
Wow.
side. That's the one that I have with him. What do you got on him?
No, I don't. I don't have anything on Humpty Dumpty. But I had
Oh,
in doing the research. That was one of them that I came across, and for some reason, I didn't make any notes on Humpty Dumpty. But yeah, it. But like I said, it also there was one of them, and I'm trying to pull this one from memory now. That it actually referred to um, a castle wall that was blown
oh,
apart by this like monster cannon that hit it. They said it would never come down, and it hit. They hit it with this super huge cannonball and blew it all to pieces. It fell all apart. So I guess that's another interpretation of it. But like I said, I didn't make any notes on that, simply because I didn't make any notes on that. No other way to put it. But
yeah.
yeah, now you're talking about the uh, political correctness a few seconds ago. Um, this is one of them that I came across that I now let me put this out there before I get started in this. Okay, whatever you want to do in your life is your business. I don't care. Okay, I really don't. It's whatever makes you happy. That's the road you have to follow, and that's the path you have to go down. And I absolutely firmly believe and support you in every way possible. Don't get me wrong. But if you get pissed off because of a nursery rhyme, then maybe you will need to take a step back and look in the mirror and get your sensitivity in check because that's going a little bit far. But anyway, that being said, that's my disclaimer, guys. This one is Ba Ba Black Sheep. Now, the according to the poem itself,
Now we
Ba Ba
lost
Black
David.
Sheep. I'm sure you have all
Now he's
heard it. Ba
frozen.
Ba Black Sheep, have you any wool? Yes, sir, 3 bags full. One for the master, one for the dame, and one
What?
for the little boy who lives down the lane. Now, this particular poem dates back to 1275, and we lost Audra completely. She'll be back in a minute. I'm going to keep talking. This goes back to 1275. Um, it uses the word black and the color master, so it's like it got tossed out of schools because they felt that there were racial connotations to this, and that is not what it had anything to do with in 1275. Not it at all. What it was talking about was what was called a custom tax, and it was a tax on wool. And they were, complaining about the ban on the wool and the tax on the wool. So, how many bags full do you have? Because we're going to tax you for those bags of wool. So basically, all they're doing is counting these bags and who these bags were supposed to be for. But later, because they found it offensive, they actually changed the wordage to the song to "Ba Ba Rainbow Sheep, have you any wool?" I don't think that. I think that's worse. To be quite honest with you, I don't see how that's any better. That couldn't be any better. So yeah, it's just it's just ridiculous. I mean, come on, guys. Um, now stuff like that just gets silly, and especially when you look back to the origins of these. These weren't made out of hate or spite. They Most of them are complaining about very real problems in society, and a lot of them are dealing with very dark and terrifying subjects. Like the Muffin Man, like we talked about earlier. Um, Another one that I wanted to cover. Oh, is she back? There she is. She's back
Oh,
now.
we're here.
Hey, welcome,
I
welcome
don't know
home.
what happened.
I don't know. You just went off the air, and you're off the air again.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, there's no picture. What's going on? Usually, Morty is on my end, and tonight
I
he's on
know.
your end.
Hang on. Okay.
All right, there she is. Okay.
I don't know. It booted me, and my batteries are draining. I don't know what's going on
Uh,
anymore.
Apparently, you have a little spirit playing there, drawing all your energy.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's.
I just went over Baba Black Sheep,
Oh
and
yeah,
the racial
that was.
connotations. Um,
But wasn't that? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
but and how it was actually complaining about a tax on
Ta-
wool is where
Yeah, I.
that came from, and how modern day people interpret it as to be have racial connotations because of the word black and the word master, and so they actually
Yeah.
changed the lyrics to the nursery rhyme to "Ba Ba Rainbow Sheep," which to me is infinitely more offensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but I don't know. I so that is. I'm not gonna offend anybody on here or anything like
Well,
that. But that's like the term. Um, master bedroom. That is because of the word
Right.
master. It is not supposed to be used, anymore. So I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
it's
crazy.
it's people. They need to get their sensitivity in check because it gets too out of hand sometimes. Um, get your skin thicker. That's all That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Could be an
Well,
offense.
so
Learn to laugh at yourself. That's what it boils down to. Just learn to laugh at yourself. Okay, that's all you got to do. I mean, if you believe in a God, then you got to know God's got a sense of humor. Look in the mirror. Look out your window. You know, the guy's got a sense of humor.
yeah,
But
no, absolutely.
um,
And I knew Baba Black Sheep as because of the wool tax. Um, and I don't think I've ever heard anything about racism in that one, but maybe it's because I just don't pay
yeah,
attention.
that's probably my case. Also, I've been out of touch with nursery rhymes for quite some time now, um,
Yeah.
so that might have passed me by. The one we're what do we got a few more minutes left here on the show tonight. What I want to touch on that we have not touched on yet, and I'm sure you have a little bit of background on this, is Jack and Jill. Have you heard anything about that? Everybody knows Jack and Jill. They went up the hill to fetch a pail of water.
I Okay, so I did not pick this
Okay.
one.
So,
I vaguely, you tell it, and I'm, I'll chime in if I know.
all right.
Well,
Let me see here. Jack
so
and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Jack fell down and broke his crown, and Jill came tumbling after. Then up got Jack and said to Jill, in his arms he took her, "Brush off that dirt, for you're not hurt. Let's fetch that pail of water." So Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water and took it home to Mother Dear. And that's, I got lost the rest of the poem. I think it's on another page. I don't know where it's at now. But anyway, you get the idea. Um, Easy enough. Jack and Jill, obviously two determined young little scamps, try and get this pail of water down the hill. And get it back to their mother and do the good deed and get the water back in the house. Now, I don't think they've got any hard set background on this, but they do have theories about where it came from. And one of them, and probably the best one, is Francis Louis XVI and his wife Marie Antoinette. Um, were both found guilty of treason and subsequently beheaded, as we all know. The only problem is that these events
yeah.
occurred nearly 30 years after Jack and Jill was first written, so that didn't tie together very
Wow.
well with that. More likely, they say, it attributes to a rhyme the 17th century king of England, Charles I, apparently attempted to increase taxes on alcohol, which were generally measured in units known as jacks and gills. After that failed, he instead reduced the size of a jack, about one-eighth of a pint, and in turn the gill, which is twice the size of a jack, so the gills increased price came tumbling after. So it's a story about alcohol, folks. One of our favorite subjects. And the
Hmm.
price and the tax of them imposing that on alcoholic beverages in England. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, remember that next time you tell that one to your kids.
Just a thought, though.
Yeah.
Okay, we should really consider, okay, like a podcast night where it's like drunk history, only not drunk history. You know what I mean? It's like drunk paranormal activity.
you know,
That would be
that's not a bad idea. I do have to admit that on a couple of our early broadcasts, if you listen very closely, you'll hear me starting to slur words towards the end.
So that should be the aim. That
Yeah, that would be fun.
would be fun. That would be really fun. I'll get a bottle of
All
wine.
right, I'm on. I got bourbon. I've always got that around here. You know, I'm always down for that. But anyway, that is about all that I've got. Do you have anything else that you want to touch on? And I'm going to give these folks a preview of some coming attractions here that we're gonna be talking about, and things that are going to be happening on the show. So, you got anything else?
I have Rockabye Baby.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go for it.
So there's a couple of different ones. Again, don't have my notes. Don't ask me which king. Don't ask me what century. I don't know. So Rockabye Baby, remember, I'm going off of memory here, there's a couple of different stories, but one was that
Oh, you froze up again, Audra. Great pose, though. I don't know if that's going to carry across. Actually, I don't know what's going on with this. It's crazy, though. But anyway, guys, what I'm going to do
Now you're frozen.
is I'm going to let you know what we have coming up in the future. Some of the things we've got planned coming down the pike are going to be a lot of fun. Coming up in April.
Stop.
We will be, and I say we, myself and Alexis Reeves are going to be going to the Ohio Reformatory in Mansfield, Ohio. Now, if you're not familiar with this, it's one of the most haunted prisons in the United States. It was also where Schindler's List was filmed. So, and if you're a fan of paranormal television shows, it's every one of them have been there at one time or another. So we're going to go. We're going to team up. We're going to go down there. We're going to put a show together at the Ohio Reformatory. And that's going to be something that's coming up in April. Hey, you're back. Okay. You all right?
Yep.
You pissed? You look pissed.
Just over it. So, okay. So I'll throw the Rockabye Baby. King. There was a king. We'll do it quick.
Okay.
Before, I get booted again. So there was a king. Don't remember which one. But apparently, he needed to produce an heir in order to keep his reign, and he could not produce said heir. So an infant was stolen. And an infant was stolen and was brought up to and raised to be the next heir, until a Protestant, if I remember right, a Protestant king were to take the throne, or there were threats of a Protestant king gonna kill the baby to take the throne. I don't have my notes. Sorry, guys.
Okay. All right. Here's I dug up a synopsis of it real quick.
Okay.
One interpretation is that the son of King James II of England and Mary Modena. It's widely believed that the boy was not their son at all, but a child who was brought into the birthing room and passed off as their own in order to ensure a Roman Catholic heir to the throne. Yeah. There you have it.
I was close.
All right. You was close. Not bad. You did a lot better from memory than I would have done. My memory is about, no, I'm not even going to get into how bad my memory is. But anyway, upcoming events. I had already told him about the Ohio Reformatory. I think you came in at the last part of that.
Yep.
And the one I'm really looking forward to, and I can't wait, in October, the entire crew of Transcending Veils, Outer Moon, Alexis Reeves, and myself are going to be going to Salem, Mass. We are going to be hooking up with Soul Seekers Paranormal out of Nova Scotia. If you had tuned into our Witches and Witchcraft show, they were on there. Amy and Tanya, we're going to be hooking up with them to go out and do a little investigating around Salem. And we're going to see the sights of Salem and have a good time. And we are going to record every bit of it, and we'll bleed it to death. We'll make as many podcasts as we can out of those 3 days we're going to be there. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We've got a lot of things. We're branching out, we're expanding, and we're growing, and we want to take you guys along with us. And that's about all I've got. Audra, do you have anything else you want to add to that?
Nope. I think I'm pretty well spent tonight.
There's never a good show. I mean, it's always one or the other. It's, we can ever get it all put together, but we'll keep shooting. We'll keep trying.
You know what? This is the thing though. People don't come for us. They come for Morty. They want to see what is going to fuck up this time.
Exactly.
They want to hear stories, but they're really here for Morty. Okay.
Morty is the star of this podcast. He is our resident gremlin, and this is what he does every show. Every one. The last show, I was off the air for 20 minutes, I guess, before I finally got my equipment working. And I literally went through. I bought a new microphone, a new cord. I got rid of all the old stuff. I got all new stuff in. I'm running perfectly, and now Audra's shutting down. So Morty's like, fuck it. He's got no equipment. I'm going to go move over to Audra's house.
If it's not you and it's not me, then it's Alexis. It's just...
it's always something.
It's someone new every week. He picks and chooses.
He's very mobile. He's very mobile.
He's your true entertainment.
All right. Well, with that, that is about all we've got, guys. Until next time, take care of one another. Be careful. And as always, keep it spooky, guys. Good night.
Good night, guys. All right, guys, you know the deal. If you have any questions, comments, or ideas for future episodes, feel free to email us at transcendingveils@gmail.com. Also, be sure to follow Transcending Veils on social media platforms such as TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And don't be afraid to swing by D.E. Riley and myself's personal Instagrams at NotReallyWilly and at AudraMoon_. We got some spooky stuff going on there too. So until the next episode, can't wait to hear from you guys.